Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Dropping Knowledge with Noah. And today, we're doing episode 3, our AI in the dealership series. So we did marketing, we did sales, and now we're going to be talking about service. Now, honestly, I think that service is probably one of the places where we've got the lowest hanging fruit to improve the processes for your dealership and really, generate more ROs and, make happier customers. So let's dive into what I'm talking about when it comes to utilizing AI in the service department to really service more vehicles with happier customers. So let's jump into that right now. So we can set the table, right? So Cox Automotive, we've got our 2026 fixed operations and ownership study. We found that the average dealership service and parts department generated about $9.23 million in revenue last year, and that's actually an all-time high. Now, fixed ops is now about 13.2% of total dealership income, and that's a $156 billion industry. But here's the problem, okay? And it's hiding inside that record number. Dealerships really, they only handle about 29% of the service visits for the vehicles that they've sold. And that's actually down from 33%, I think, back in 2020 or so. So you're making more money than ever and losing your market share at the same time. You got your general repair shops, you got your quick lubes, you got your tire stores. They're actually eating your lunch. And AI is actually how you can claw back that market share. And we can take a look at it right here. So first, let's start about the leak. Right? Before we talk about solutions, we have to understand exactly where and why dealers are losing those service customers. And here's the spoiler. It's almost never about price. Everybody thinks, oh, it's because we're too expensive. Nope. Actually, because of friction. So 45% of dealership service customers report at least one frustration with their visit. That could be it took longer than they expected, couldn't find pricing, they felt pushed to add on services that they might not understand. And also that they find that, getting to the dealership is inconvenient. So we have some things that we could actually solve pretty easily if we look to technology to help, address those problems. But let's start with the basics. It starts before they leave, that defection. So 80% of new buyers, they say they'd actually service where they bought that vehicle. But only 25% of those people who bought a car are actually introduced to the service department when they buy that car. And only 23% have that first service appointment scheduled. So the intent is there. People are like, hey, you know what? I will service my vehicle there. But the handoff isn't there. So we're not even talking about AI, but this is just a training issue where we tell our salespeople, hey, when we are selling this car, part of selling it is introducing that shopper to the service department and talking about how great it is to service their vehicle at your dealership. But also when they go through and finalize that transaction, taking an extra 2 minutes to schedule that first service appointment. Hey, let me get your first oil change in here. And you know what? The manufacturer actually covers it. So you're dialed in. It's free. Let's make sure we get you in. And if we can get that first service appointment scheduled, that actually increases the likelihood they're going to continue to service that vehicle with you by about 40%. And so this gap is actually where your competitors are intercepting your customers. We have a lot of opportunities here. So let's see how AI kind of fits in here. Scheduling, service, and follow-up. Number one, we want to meet them where they are. That's online and 24/7. A couple of different things we can look at. Number one is AI voice, right? So a lot of times people want to call into the dealership and it's after hours and you don't have somebody manning the phones. Well, now there's AI voice services, which will answer the phones, answer questions, and even schedule services for your customers right then and there. And they can integrate with your service scheduler and let that person know if that time that they're looking for is available or not. So that solves a big problem for you because now you've got that 24/7 coverage and you're not having to worry about it. And also, we got to talk about your online service scheduler. Now, I thought that this is just foundational. I thought everybody kind of had this. But now that I've been talking to more and more dealers, salespeople, everybody, a lot of dealers, you guys aren't even using online service schedulers. Why? It's an easy fix, right? It's on your website. It's going to show your availability, allow you to not only allow people to schedule their services, but maybe incentivize them to service at a particular time, right? So if you want to fill your service bays in the afternoon, maybe offering a discount for those shoppers for the afternoon service appointment, or showing declined services. So one thing that AI can do is it looks at all this data, and if you marked a vehicle or an RO as declined, it can surface that to that shopper while they're scheduling that appointment online, and you can capture that RO the next time, right? Now, the other thing too is adding pickup and delivery as part of that process. So this is outside of AI now. You can use AI to help schedule all that great stuff. But if we're offering service pickup and delivery, the average RO increases by about $275. So people are willing to pay more for that convenience, which is actually one of the number one reasons people don't go to a dealership. So they want the convenience, they're willing to go to you, and they're willing to pay more for it. So you have this opportunity to offer, a fair product at a market price and actually make some money on it. So go ahead, offer service pickup and delivery. It's worth it. Now, let's talk about using AI on the advisor side of things. Okay, so we're using AI to help the customer call in, answer questions, schedule service online, or see services that they've declined in the past. But AI can also allow your advisor to provide a better experience for the shopper and capture more ROs. So number one is like photos and video. Now this is your techs who are in there, taking photos of the vehicle and videos of the vehicle. We've seen a lot of these starting to come out, especially in the luxury section where, they're going through doing a video inspection of the car saying, this is what's going on, here's what's wrong. And that actually increases your RO amount on average. And here's why, because people start to trust you more. Really good example is a couple of years ago, I brought my Volvo into the Volvo dealership. They said, hey, you need to get new pads and rotors. And I had just bought this car, CPO, and only put in, maybe 20,000 miles on it. And I was like, you know what? There's no way this thing needs new pads and rotors. They sent me a photo, scored the rotors, pads are basically down to nothing. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh, okay, they are actually telling me the truth. I'm going to go ahead and approve that RO. So this also allows service advisors to do more consistent quoting. So it basically pulls in all your pricing into one hub where they're quoting out, jobs for customers going to be, pretty much the same across the board. So they're not being surprised if they go from Bill to Jane or whomever. That quoting is basically pulled in. Now, the other thing too is that AI, using that to pull in your photos and videos for inspections and everything and managing those communications leads to faster approvals. Because people see that, hey, you know what? Actually, my rotors do need to be replaced. Boom, I'm going to click yes on that approval and get that done. So that's on that front. Now, we talked about kind of resurfacing declined services. So if you're digitizing your scheduling process and your check-in process and keeping logs of everything that shopper's done, that is basically food for AI to work with. So in your scheduling tool, if they decline a service, that should get logged. If they check into the dealership and they decline to recommend service, that should be checked, logged as well. And then the AI, the next time that person tries to schedule that service or the next time that they come in, it can surface that declined service and increase the likelihood that they're going to select it. Now, the other great thing about that is that data can be used to market to that shopper. Hey, Bill, it's, you declined this timing belt replacement. Been about 3 months. Be a good time for you to schedule that service and get that taken care of. You can do that by email, text message, digital advertising, like, retargeting, display, etc. But what we're doing is we're learning more about that shopper and then using that data to activate marketing to reach out to them when the time is right. Now, if we can do, automated service invites based on not just timing, but also what we know about that shopper, on average, we see about 174 more ROs per month for dealers using that automated service invite tool. Really great stuff right there, just by capturing the data and then harnessing it to market to shoppers where it makes sense. And this is, if you're a service guy, you haven't really seen this before. This is basically what the sales guys have been doing forever, right? They've been understanding what that shopper is interested in and marketing to them when the time is right. It's the same thing, but we're talking about fixed ops. and now we know more about them. Now, the other thing too is, using AI to enhance your service to sales pipeline. Now, a stat that I always like to highlight is if a RO is above about $3,200, that's where buyers actually start considering a trade-in. And if those shoppers continue to service with you, they are about 30% more likely to repurchase with you if they service with you. So there's a couple of things you can do here. So you can use the data you have on your shoppers, looking at like buying signals, so their propensity to buy, what vehicles they're looking at, et cetera, and then use that trigger of the $3,200 to say, hey, you know what? Service advisor sees that high dollar repair order, sends a message to the salesperson. They can look at the information that's being pulled into your CRM, showing them their likelihood to buy or what they're researching, what vehicles they're interested in, and actually send them offers for vehicles with their trade-in plugged in. So now you're getting an opportunity to buy that vehicle out of your service lane. So you're not having to worry about auction prices or auction fees or anything like that. And you know the service history. You also know what service it needs because of the decline services that you're logging. And you're going after somebody you know is interested in buying a car. So you're getting that first shot of the acquisition plus the sale. And if you're doing your job right, you're introducing that person or actually scheduling their first service again to keep them coming back to you. So you'll hear that kind of phrase from me, that cradle to cradle retailing. It's really what I'm talking about. It's great to sell that first car. It's even better to get them to service with you. And it's even better for them to sell that car to you and buy their next car from you and then service with you. So they'll keep coming back. And really how you do that is via great processes, collecting good data and then activating that data where it makes sense. So marketing to people where it makes sense, informing your sales and service team, more about those customers, and then making it easier to share that data across your systems. Now, for our thrivers, the dealerships that are both more efficient and more profitable than their peers, they're using AI, right? And they're seeing on average, about 15 points higher decline service recapture than other dealers. And, that's a big thing, right? 15% is a huge jump. And that's a lot of highly profitable revenue. Now, the other thing too is 88% of consumers say service shapes who they buy from next. So if we can dial in our service processes with technology, enhancing it, making it easier for them to schedule their service via phone or via the online portal, or even make it easier for the service advisor to do it for that shopper. And then when they do get checked in, making it easy and transparent, showing them how much it's going to cost, and also surfacing maybe declined services, and then using that data to power a marketing engine that gets, reminders sent out to those shoppers when it's a couple months down the road and it's time for them to schedule their next tire rotation and oil change or their 40,000 mile service. Well, doing that when the time is right. And that is where the winners are winning. So if we're going to kind of come away from this with 5 things, right? We got our 5 things to do this quarter. Number 1, train your people to schedule that first service at the time of sale. If we can get them coming back, that's a big deal. We want to turn on 24/7 online service scheduling. If you don't have an online service scheduler, I'm praying for you. And look into getting AI voice scheduling. So it's going to answer your phones for you and schedule your services for you 24/7. Number 3, this is a training opportunity. Put photos and videos into every inspection and service quote. So when you are communicating with those shoppers, you can show them, the condition of their engine, their brakes, their suspension, their frame's rusty, etc. But now you're building trust and you're collecting data because you can get those approvals into your system or declines into your system and make decisions from there. And that's where that automating the decline service follow-up, either when they schedule that service through your online portal, when they check in at the dealership, surfacing that information to your service advisor to mention to that customer, and then also marketing to them. And then finally, flagging those trade-in candidates in the service lane. It's getting harder and harder to get good trade-ins, and making sure that you're aggressively going after vehicles in your service lane, especially those that have high service bills, but also have buying signals for their customers, is really important. So hopefully you guys learned something. Thank you for watching. Once again, service is the profit engine at the dealership, so we want to fuel it. Feel free to hit like, subscribe, comment. It's all super helpful. And stay tuned. We're going to have more Dropping Knowledge with Noah for you coming soon. Thanks again.